In the quiet town of Amuzi, where everyone knew each other's story, lived a young girl named Chiamaka Okoro. She was just 17, yet her heart was as gentle as a dove's, and her smile could brighten even the saddest day. People in Amuzi always said that Chiamaka was different, humble, respectful, and beautiful both inside and out. Every morning, as she walked to fetch water from the stream or help her mother at the market, she greeted everyone she saw with her sweet, cheerful voice. "Good morning, Mama Ifeoma. Good morning, Papa Ejike." Her greetings always carried joy. Even the grumpy elders who rarely smiled found themselves nodding when they saw her. "That girl is a blessing," they often said. "She was raised well. Her heart shines like early morning sun." Other parents used her name when scolding their children. "Can't you behave like Chiamaka? Have you ever seen her shouting or fighting?" Chiamaka lived with her parents in a small but peaceful house at the edge of the town. Her mother, Mama Chiamaka, was a soft-spoken woman who sold food items at the village market. People said Chiamaka got her beauty and good heart from her mother. Her father, Chief Okoro, was one of the respected elders in Amuzi. He was tall, proud, and known for his deep voice that commanded attention at meetings. He loved his only daughter with his whole heart and called her the joy of my old age. Chiamaka was his pride. But one strange morning, everything changed. Chiamaka, who usually woke up early to sing as she swept the compound, suddenly became quiet. She looked weak all the time. She stopped smiling often, lost her appetite, and sometimes rushed behind the house to vomit. At first, her mother thought it was malaria. She gave her herbs and soups, but nothing changed. After days of watching her daughter suffer, Mama Chiamaka's heart grew heavy. One night, when the moon was full and the air was calm, she entered her daughter's room quietly. She sat beside her on the mat and touched her hands softly. "My daughter, talk to me," she said. "Are you sick? What is wrong with you?" Chiamaka tried to smile. "Mama, it's just small fever. Maybe malaria. I'll be fine." But her mother wasn't convinced. She looked at her closely and asked, "Malaria that makes you vomit every morning? Chiamaka, tell me the truth." "I'm fine, Mama. I promise," Chiamaka replied weakly, turning her face away. The next morning, as usual, she ran out to vomit behind the house. But this time, her mother saw her clearly. That same day, Mama Chiamaka took her to the local nurse who treated people in the town. After examining Chiamaka, the nurse called her mother aside and said softly, "Mama Chiamaka, your daughter is not sick. She is 6 weeks pregnant." "What?" Mama Chiamaka screamed. "God forbid! Pregnant? Are you sure? Please check again. Maybe it's a mistake." But it wasn't. The nurse repeated the same thing. Mama Chiamaka stood still. It was like thunder had struck her heart. Tears filled her eyes as she looked at her daughter. When they got home, she sat Chiamaka down. "My child, please tell me who did this to you. Who is responsible for this pregnancy?" Chiamaka kept quiet. She looked down at her hands and began to cry, but said nothing. Her mother begged her again and again, but she refused to speak. That evening, when Chief Okoro returned from a village meeting, his wife could not hide the truth. She told him everything. The moment he heard the word pregnant, Chief Okoro's face changed. His chair fell as he jumped up in anger. "What did you say? Pregnant? Under my roof? My only daughter? He paced up and down, breathing heavily. She has brought shame upon this family. Shame upon my name. The daughter of Chief Okoro, pregnant without a husband? His voice echoed through the compound. Neighbors began to gather, whispering and peeping through the fence. Some were shocked, others curious. Chiamaka knelt in the center of the compound, tears pouring from her eyes. "Papa, please forgive me," she cried. "I didn't mean to bring shame to you." But her father's anger only grew. "If you want to live like a woman, then go and live like one. From today, you are no longer my daughter." Gasps filled the air. Even the wind seemed to pause. Mama Chiamaka ran to her husband and knelt down beside her daughter. "My husband, please, don't send her away. She is our only child. Have mercy." But Chief Okoro turned his face away. His pride was stronger than his pity. Just then, his best friend, Mr. Anayo, who had returned from Lagos a few months earlier, entered the compound. "What is happening?" he asked, looking surprised. When he was told that Chiamaka was pregnant and refused to name the father, he pleaded with Chief Okoro to calm down. "Okoro, remember she is still a child. Don't let anger destroy your family," he said. But Chief Okoro wouldn't listen. He went inside, packed all of Chiamaka's clothes into a small bag and threw it out. "Take your things and leave my house," he said firmly. "You are no longer my blood." Mama Chiamaka cried uncontrollably. She wrapped a small bundle of food, tied a little money in a cloth, and gave it to her daughter. "My child," she whispered, holding her hand tightly, "I love you. I'm sorry. If only you would tell me who did this. Your father might forgive you." Chiamaka wiped her tears and said softly, "Mama, no one will believe me if I say who it was. They will call me a liar." Her mother looked confused, but before she could ask more, Chiamaka turned and began to walk away. She looked back once. Her father had already gone inside. No one called her name. The villagers stood and watched quietly, whispering, "I thought she was a good girl. She fooled everyone. See how she has disgraced her father." Chiamaka's heart broke with every word, but she kept walking. She walked past the market square, past the big mango tree where she used to play as a child. The road ahead looked endless. She didn't know where she was going. She only knew she couldn't go back. As night came, she reached a busy town far from Amuzi. Her feet were sore and her stomach was growling. She found a small closed stall and sat in front of it. She opened the nylon bag her mother gave her and found the yam porridge. It had gone sour, but she was too hungry to care. After eating, she lay down with her bag as a pillow and covered herself with a wrapper. By morning, when she woke up, a small crowd had gathered around her. Some stared with pity, others with judgment. But among them was a woman who looked kind. "Who are you, my daughter?" the woman asked. "My name is Chiamaka. Please don't hurt me. My father sent me away because I got pregnant." The crowd began to scatter, but the woman stayed. She looked at Chiamaka for a while and said gently, "Come with me. My name is Mama Uju. I can help you." Chiamaka hesitated. "I don't have money, Ma." "I didn't ask for money," the woman said. "I just want to help. I once had children too. Come." Something in Mama Uju's eyes felt safe, so Chiamaka followed her. Mama Uju's house was small, with cracked walls, but it felt warm. She gave Chiamaka food, water, and a place to sleep. That night, as Chiamaka lay on the small mats in her new room, she cried quietly. not from hunger or fear, but from the memory of her father's angry face. Mama Uju came in, sat beside her, and rubbed her feet with shea butter. "Don't cry, my daughter. You are safe here," she said softly. For the first time in weeks, Chiamaka slept peacefully. But life, as she would later learn, had not finished testing her. The same world that rejected her still had more to show her, both kindness and cruelty. The next few days at Mama Uju's house were calm and peaceful. For the first time since she left home, Chiamaka woke up to the smell of warm food and the sound of someone calling her "my daughter." It felt strange but comforting. Mama Uju treated her with care and kindness. Every morning, she made pap and beans for breakfast. Sometimes, she bought fruits from the market and even gave Chiamaka new clothes to wear. The woman seemed to have a mother's heart. "Rest well," she would say. "You and that child inside you need strength." At night, when the air grew cold, Mama Uju would rub Chiamaka's feet with shea butter and cover her with a wrapper. Slowly, Chiamaka began to smile again. But even as days passed, her heart still carried the heavy memory of her father's words. "You are no longer my daughter." Those words echoed in her head every night before she slept. Sometimes she sat by the window, staring at the stars and whispering, "Mama, I miss you. I wish you were here." Mama Uju noticed the sadness in her eyes one evening and said, "My child, don't think too much. God knows why things happen. You are safe now." Chiamaka nodded weakly. She wanted to believe it. Weeks passed and her pregnancy grew. Her belly began to show, and Mama Uju was always around to help her fetch water, cook, and clean. Chiamaka became like her daughter, and everyone in the area started calling her Mama Uju's girl. It was a small house, just 2 rooms and a narrow kitchen, but it was filled with laughter again. Children from the neighborhood often came to play outside, and Chiamaka would sit watching them, wondering what kind of mother she would be. Then one rainy night, everything changed. It started with a sharp pain in her lower belly. She tried to stand, but her leg shook. The pain came again, stronger this time. She screamed, "Mama Uju, please come." Mama Uju rushed in with a wrapper tied around her chest. She took one look at Chiamaka and said calmly, "It's time. The baby is coming." She quickly boiled water, tore some clean cloth, and held Chiamaka's hand tight. "Be strong, my daughter. You can do this. Push when I tell you." The rain beat hard on the roof. Thunder rolled in the sky, but inside the small room there was a different storm. The cry of a young girl in labor. Chiamaka screamed, pushed, cried, and prayed, "God, please help me. Don't let me die here." After many long hours, a loud cry filled the room, the cry of a newborn baby. Mama Uju smiled widely. "It's a girl," she shouted. Tears of relief and joy rolled down Chiamaka's face. She stretched out her arms to hold the baby. The child was tiny, pink, and beautiful. Her cries sounded like music to Chiamaka's ears. "I will call her Amara," she whispered weakly, "because she is God's grace in my life." Mama Uju cleaned both mother and child and wrapped Amara in a soft cloth and placed her in Chiamaka's arms. For the first time in months, Chiamaka's heart felt peace. She looked at her baby's small face and smiled. "No matter what happens, I will protect you. You will never suffer like I did." Mama Uju nodded and smiled, but behind that smile was a look Chiamaka didn't understand. A look that came and went quickly. Days turned to weeks, and Chiamaka healed fast and learned how to care for her baby.
Mama Uju helped her bath the baby every morning and taught her how to wrap Amara properly with a baby shawl. Life was beginning to feel normal again. Then one evening, when the wind was cool and soft, Mama Uju went out to the backyard to meet someone. Chiamaka was breastfeeding her baby when she heard whispers. Two voices, a woman's and a man's. At first, she thought it was just neighbors talking, but then she heard her name. "She's still here," Mama Uju's voice said. "The girl and her baby." Then the man replied in a deep tone. "You said no one is looking for her?" "Yes," Mama Uju answered quickly. "Her family chased her away. Nobody even knows where she is." Chiamaka's heart skipped. She stopped breathing for a moment, trying to hear more. "So how much?" the man asked. 500,000, Mama Uju replied softly. "That baby is healthy and beautiful. You know what that means." Chiamaka froze. Her blood ran cold. She pressed her baby to her chest and moved closer to the dog quietly. They were talking about Amara. Mama Uju was trying to sell her baby. Tears filled her eyes as she leaned closer to the wooden wall, peeping through a tiny crack. She saw the man counting money, new naira notes, and Mama Uju smiling as she took it. "How could she?" Chiamaka whispered. "How could she betray me like this?" Her heart was beating fast. She wanted to run out and scream, but fear held her still. Suddenly, Amara began to cry. Chiamaka quickly backed away, rocking her baby to keep her quiet. She lay down and pretended to be asleep when Mama Uju came in. "My daughter," Mama Uju said softly, standing by the door, "is the baby crying?" "Yes, Mama," Chiamaka replied, forcing a smile. "All right, feed her and sleep early." Mama Uju left the room. As soon as the door closed, Chiamaka's tears began to fall again. She held Amara close and whispered, "My baby, nobody will take you away from me. I promise you that." That night, she didn't sleep. Her eyes stayed open, watching the window and door. Every sound made her heart jump. By dawn, before the first cock crowed, Chiamaka quietly packed her few clothes and wrapped Amara tightly to her chest. Without making any sound, she tiptoed to the door, opened it slowly, and stepped out. The cold morning air touched her face as she looked around the dark street. Everywhere was quiet. She didn't look back. She just started walking. She walked and walked, through muddy roads, across narrow bridges, past farms and old houses. Her feet hurt, but she didn't stop. "God, please help me," she whispered over and over. "Don't let them find me." As the sun rose, she reached the next town, a bigger one, called Ungo. The place was loud and busy. People moved fast. Traders shouted prices. Cars honked. Nobody cared about a young girl carrying a baby. Chiamaka sat by a shop sign to rest. Her feet were dusty, and her wrapper was wet with sweat. Chiamaka breastfed her baby, whispering songs she remembered from home. When she finished, she looked up at the sky and said, "God, are you still watching us? Please, show me where to go next." She waited for a long time, hoping someone kind would notice her. Hours later, a man dressed neatly in a white shirt and black trousers stopped beside her. He had a warm smile and soft eyes. "Good afternoon," he greeted. "You look tired. What are you doing here under this hot sun?" Chiamaka looked up slowly. "I have nowhere to go. I'm just trying to survive," she said weakly. The man looked around, then sat beside her. "You are too young to suffer like this," he said. "What about your family?" "They don't want me," Chiamaka replied, tears filling her eyes. The man sighed. My name is Mr. Tony. I can help you. I have a small flat not far from here. You and your baby can stay. The streets are dangerous for a girl like you." Chiamaka looked at him with suspicion. Her heart trembled. She remembered what happened with Mama Uju and felt fear again. "Are you sure I will be safe?" she asked. "Yes," Tony replied gently. "I'm not like those wicked people. You and your baby will be fine." Chiamaka stared at his face for a while. He looked decent, calm, and serious. She wanted to trust him, and her stomach was empty. So she nodded slowly. "All right." Tony smiled and helped her up. They walked to where his car was parked, a small, neat car with smooth seats. He drove quietly, and after a few minutes, they reached a small flat at the edge of town. The place was clean and quiet. Inside, there was a rug, a small ceiling fan, and a sweet smell in the air. Tony gave her warm food and water and then ran a clean bath for Amara. That night, Chiamaka slept on a real bed for the first time in months. She felt safe again. Or so she thought. But deep in her heart, something whispered.
The morning sun poured through the thin curtains, bathing the small flat in soft golden light. Chiamaka opened her eyes slowly, feeling warmth for the first time in months. Her baby, Amara, slept peacefully beside her, her tiny chest rising and falling. She turned her head slightly and saw Mr. Tony standing by the window, talking on his phone in a low voice. His words were quiet, but his tone sounded serious. "Yes," he said softly, "she's here. No, she doesn't suspect anything yet. Give me time." Chiamaka blinked. Her heart skipped. Who was he talking to? Tony turned around and smiled when he saw she was awake. "Good morning, sunshine," he said warmly. "I hope you slept well." She nodded slowly. "Yes, thank you." He came closer, still smiling, but Chiamaka could feel something cold behind that smile. She brushed it off and focused on feeding her baby. Tony treated her kindly all through the day. He bought baby clothes, milk, and even a mosquito net for the room. Chiamaka was grateful. She began to see him as a good man, someone God sent to rescue her. Every evening, Tony would talk to her about life, family, and forgiveness. He told her about his late wife, who died in childbirth, and how he wished to raise a child again someday. Chiamaka's heart softened. Maybe he just needs company, she thought. Weeks passed, and the house began to feel like home. Chiamaka washed Tony's clothes, cooked his food, and even helped tidy the house. Tony often played with baby Amara, carrying her on his lap and calling her "my little angel." But deep down, Chiamaka still couldn't forget the way he spoke on the phone that morning. One afternoon, while Tony was out, she decided to sweep his room. She moved the bed to clean underneath, and that was when she saw it, a brown envelope. Curiosity pushed her to open it. Inside were papers, and among them, a photograph. Her heart almost stopped when she saw it. It was a photo of Mama Uju standing beside Tony, smiling. Behind them was the same small house she had escaped from. There was also a small note inside. "The girl and the baby will fetch a good price. Be careful, she's sharp. Uju." Chiamaka dropped the photo. Her hands trembled. So Tony and Mama Uju were working together all along. They had planned everything: the kindness,
the food, the comfort, all a lie. Her knees weakened. She sat on the floor, clutching Amara close. "Oh God, not again, not again," she whispered. Suddenly, she heard the sound of a car outside. Tony was back. She quickly put the papers back, pushed the envelope under the bed, and pretended to be washing clothes. Tony entered with a broad smile, carrying bread and milk. "My ladies, how are we today?" he said cheerfully. Chiamaka forced a smile. "We're fine, sir." That night, she couldn't sleep. She kept watching Tony, pretending to rest. Around midnight, she heard him make another phone call. "Yes, tomorrow night," he said quietly. "I'll hand her over at the bus stop. The child will be in a blanket. Don't be late." Tears ran down Chiamaka's cheeks. He was going to sell them, just like Mama Uju tried to. She knew she had to escape. Again. When Tony fell asleep, she packed her few belongings, a wrapper, baby clothes, and a small bottle of water. She wrapped Amara securely, opened the back door slowly, and stepped into the night. The road was quiet and dark, but her fear was louder than the silence. She walked quickly, heart pounding, until she reached a bus park. A few buses were parked there, waiting for morning trips. She approached a woman frying akara by the roadside. "Please, auntie," she whispered, "I need help. I have no money, but I need to leave this place tonight." The woman looked at her from head to toe. Dusty feet, tired face, and a sleeping baby. "Where are you going?" "Anywhere safe," Chiamaka said, trembling. The woman sighed and called her husband, a driver who was loading his bus. After hearing her story, the man nodded and said, "Get in. I am going to Enugu. You can stay with my sister there. She runs a women's shelter." Chiamaka burst into tears. "God bless you, sir. God bless you." By dawn, the bus rolled into Enugu City. The driver's sister, Auntie Grace, welcomed her warmly. She ran a small shelter for homeless women and young mothers. For the first time in a long while, Chiamaka met other girls who had stories like hers. Girls who were deceived, rejected, and betrayed. Auntie Grace became a second mother to her. She helped Chiamaka learn tailoring and even registered her for free antenatal support. Years passed, and Amara grew into a bright, beautiful little girl with big, curious eyes. She always asked questions and loved singing church songs. Chiamaka worked hard, sewing clothes for people in the neighborhood. Her designs became popular, and she began earning money. One afternoon, as she was sewing in front of the shelter, a car stopped by the gate. A familiar voice called her name softly. "Chiamaka." She froze. That voice, she hadn't heard it in years. She turned slowly. Standing there was her father, older now, his once strong face now marked with deep regret. Tears filled his eyes. "My daughter, I've been looking for you. Please forgive me." Chiamaka's mouth quivered. "Papa?" He nodded, stepping closer. "I was wrong. I let pride destroy my home. Your mother never stopped praying for you. When she died last year, she begged me to find you and make peace." Chiamaka's heart broke again. She wanted to hate him, but she saw the pain in his eyes. She looked down at Amara, who was peeping from behind her leg. "Papa," she whispered, "this is Amara, your granddaughter." The old man's lips trembled as he knelt on the dusty ground. "Please forgive me, my child. I don't deserve your love, but please let me see how grow." Chiamaka bent down and held his hands. "Papa, I forgave you a long time ago," she said softly. "God gave me another chance through this child." Tears flowed freely. Father and daughter hugged each other tightly, both crying, both free. From that day, Chiamaka's life began to change. With her father's support and Auntie Grace's guidance, she opened her own small fashion shop called Amara's Touch. Every signboard outside carried her favorite words: "Grace found me when the world rejected me." Sometimes, when she looked at Amara laughing in the shop, she would smile and whisper, "You are the reason I survived. God truly gave me grace." And though her past was filled with pain, betrayal, and tears, Chiamaka finally found peace, the kind that comes only from forgiveness and faith.